Welcome once again here to the Tony Natali Show. My name is Paul Kinder. Great to be with Coach Tony Natali. We welcome you to Bethel University here in Mishawaka, Indiana. We're at the White Camp Athletic Center, just outside the Gates Gymnasium. Thanks for being a part of our program here today. Thanks again, as always, to Tanner Camp, Luke Schrock for their great work behind the scenes here producing today's program. Tony, first of all, we're hitting the backstretch of the calendar year, and of course, we're making the transition from fall sports into the winter sports, but it's been an exciting fall. I'm stoked today. This is one of my favorite people of all time is your guest here today. He's one of your favorite people, too, because he's your brother, John. John and I, we've all the time we've interacted during the course of our 25 years here together, we've just had a blast. And I got one of my favorite John Natali stories I'm going to tell here today. He's shaking his head already. He's thinking, oh, what is he going to do here to me? But let's go back and let's talk about the fall. First of all, a couple of hearty congratulations go out to number one, women's volleyball team won the regional championship and advanced to Branson. So congratulations to Erica Dregitz and, of course, that outstanding volleyball team. Half a dozen gals made all Crossroads League performer. What a performance by the men's soccer team. You know, what can you say about Thiago Pinto and his team? Another NAIA berth. Women's soccer team right now, as we speak, as we're taping this, is kind of on the bubble trying to find out if they're going to be going to the national tournament. But a lot of really neat things going on this fall. I know it's driving Luke Schrock crazy, trying to keep all the balls in the air and all those kind of situations. But just give us a flyover on the fall thus far for athletics.
Yeah, that's our goal, to keep Luke hopping. We don't want him to be too bored, so we want to take care of Luke. But, yeah, it's been a great fall. I mean, basically every sport we've had is going to be participating in postseason play. Our cross-country teams had a great showing last week in Warsaw at the NCCA National Championships. Of course, Jamal Henry's women's tennis team won the conference regular season and the tournament, and they're going to NAI Nationals in the spring in Alabama. So those two sports did great. And then the sports you mentioned right now, women's volleyball probably played their best match of the year.
I agree.
In my opinion, and they beat Judson the other night, and they're going to be heading to Ozarks, College of the Ozarks, a place we're very familiar with. But they're going to be heading down there here soon, so we're getting ready for that trip. Excited to see what they can do. Women's soccer had a great year. Conference is just loaded this year, so that we're waiting to see where they're going to be with the NCCA National Tournament. And as you mentioned with Tiago's men's soccer team, not only are they going to be back in the NAI National Tournament, but we're hosting again the opening round for the third year in a row. And for the second year out of three, as I'm looking out this window, we have snow again. So hopefully it won't be like it was 2 years ago, but I think it's just going to be a little bit of snow to worry about this time.
Coach Hess's golf team as well, doing a wonderful job. I know he was disappointed they didn't win the national championship, but once again, getting to that point in time, you have to feel terrific for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my fault for forgetting that one. But the golf teams on both sides, the men and women, both made it to NCCAs and had both finished second, which is very respectable. I'd be runner-up nationally. So, yeah, both those teams did well also.
Well, we've been trying to highlight with this program some of the people who are behind the scenes that make athletics go. And there are so many different moving parts, from Luke Schrock's sports information team, our team, to your support staff, whether it be Chris Hess and Seth Zartman, who do so many wonderful things with facilities and all those type of situations, as well as their head coaches trying to take care of their own teams. But one of the guys who I think is one of the most unsung heroes and so deserving of being inducted into the Bethel University Athletics Hall of Fame, is your brother John. He has done so many things, and I know he, for many, many years, he oversees the tennis program, but he does so many things. So let's just talk about having your older brother with you here today, and what he means, and all the so many things that he has helped you with over the course of your time here.
Yeah, like you said, there's so many people that do so much. You know, we're trying to host this soccer national coming up here in a couple days, and we met yesterday on the field for about an hour, and it's just amazing the group of people you meet. Everybody from Larry McClements, who's a kinesiology professor, who's now basically running the tournament, and Tim McClements is his brother, who's blowing the field, painting the lines, you know, and all the people, like you mentioned, they're doing field. But yeah, John's been involved in so many areas here since he's been here, not just doing the book for basketball games, volleyball games. I've been involved with that, but just also doing concessions and tickets, making sure that's all stocked, which is not an easy job to do, and then just being around at all the games and all the contests that are going on. Compliance, he works with Austin Austin Hawkins, our assistant women's basketball coach, on compliance, and that's a never-ending job because that just keeps going from one semester to the next. So, at a school like ours, like at Bethel, we all the head coaches, everybody, we have multiple jobs and tasks we need to do. So, from my position as leading the department, I'm only as good as everybody else who we have working with us, like John is, and just all the great work that he does.
When you look back on having family involved in work, sometimes that could be contentious, sometimes it could be a blessing, and sometimes as the head coach, in this case you, and in my case too, because my work with my wife and as well as my children have been a big part of what we've done over the many years, the 35 years we've been in business. So at some point in time, you have to be the guy or gal, whatever the case may be, where the buck stops here and said, hey, listen, I made a decision. It may not be something you particularly like or dislike, whatever the case may be, but hey, listen, this is what I feel is best. And I know that's not always comfortable, but I think good families work those kind of situations out. And from your scenario, you're the youngest of the 4 guys. So for you to be in a position to be the head coach with 3 older brothers, you had to learn a long time ago as a little guy, figuratively speaking, of course, as a little guy to be able to stand up for yourself and fight through it and be a guy who can make a decision.
No, absolutely. I'm still a little guy, but besides that, yeah, exactly. And it is good. Andrea works with my wife Andrea works with all of our camps, and even as with Cassie being on our track team when I coached my daughter Cassie, she knew really early on that she's my daughter, and of course I love her more than anybody else on the track team. But the reality of it is, when we're at track practice, when we're at track meets, she's really not my daughter at that point. She's part of the track team. Yeah. So she learned that real easy on when one of the first meets, her and a bunch of her friends ran off to the restroom, and she knew the rules that we're supposed to be back in time for stretching, and she wasn't with her group, and they all heard about it from me, including her, and she knew real quick that she's not going to get any preferential treatment. Sure. And I think you have to be that way. You got a job to do. We're called to be excellent in all we do by the Lord, and it doesn't matter who we are. Myself, John, Luke, could be anybody. So we want to make sure that we take care of Bethel and do the best job we can for Bethel.
John, I know that we've had a lot of fun over the years, whether you traveling on the bus or just here. One of the things I enjoy so much about John Natali is that every time I walk in the building here to broadcast a game, or it could be over at baseball or softball, wherever the case may be, there's always that smile. There's always that great disposition. He's got an unbelievable heart of hospitality. I love that about him, John. And I think I'll just go out on the record and say one of my favorite things about coming to Bethel each and every day is I know the first person I'm going to see when I walk through the turnstiles here is your face. And I just want to thank you for the wonderful gift of hospitality. And I know the coaches and the officials who come here, you're greeting them, taking them to the locker room. I think that's something, biblically speaking, I mean, the gift of hospitality is something that's is pivotal. When did you realize that you had the gift of hospitality?
I don't know when it started. I mean, I think I was born with it, actually, but I've always been a people person, wanting to make people feel welcome and important and valued. So that's just been my disposition, whether I was coaching college athletes or working with staff, whatever the audience was. That was my goal.
So give us an idea of the family dynamics. We have Cosmo and Michael. They're in their mid-70s right now. You're number 9. You're number 3 in the list. Tony's the runt of the litter, if I can use that terminology, lovingly speaking. But give us an idea. What was it like? You and I talked last night, ironically, about our favorite teams growing up. So what was it like in the Natali household with 4 boys?
We were always playing sports together, whether it was wiffle ball in the backyard endlessly until the grass was gone. Dad loved that a lot, but playing wiffle ball, basketball across the street, going on bike rides to the parks. We each all had our interests, but we played a lot of sports together. When
you look at it, Tony, you like some fond memories of hanging out with your brothers. I mean, there's a significant age. It was about 10 years between the oldest guys and you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 10, 11 years. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great memories. With them specifically, with my 2 older brothers who are twins, Cosmo and Michael, I mean, I don't remember a ton about that because I was really, really young at that point, and I remember them being in college and going to visit them there but definitely remember a whole lot more with John because he was a little bit closer in age. But yeah, just having fun in those times, and the fact that we grew up literally 3 minutes from this campus, and the fact that that's the house we grew up in, and it's just amazing that I've been able to be here for 26 years after that. Didn't think that would happen.
John, when you have a servant's heart like you do, and you're trying to serve so many different people, you've developed so many relationships, and I know I'm very similar in the same situation. I'm a relationship type person, and you want to be able to try to serve as many people as possible. Walk me through the mindset that you have in with athletes as well as with coaches. And I know that you're always, hey, listen, what can I do for you today? Can you walk us through how you go about systematically honestly, you're pleasing everybody, quite frankly.
Well, can't please everybody all the time, but my system is basically to always be willing to serve. And as part of the staff, I appreciate everybody on the staff, whether the coaches or the behind-the-scenes people like Sarah, our trainer. We just work together as a team. As far as the athletes go, my motto has always been, no, I don't have kids of my own, but you're my kids. So when I was a tennis coach, I had 26 kids, and I've got close to 500 kids. I don't know them all the same, but kids across the sports spectrum, they're important to me, and I develop relationships with them and converse with them as much as possible.
Tony, I know that many times when I'm going to take you back to the time you were coaching men's basketball with Coach Mike Lightfoot. I know that John and we would sit next to each other on the bus or right proximity or nearby. And I remember all the times we would talk about games. But one of my favorite John Natali memories was it was the NCCAA National Tournament Championship Series. We were on our way to Minnesota. And it was a crazy situation. I'm trying to remember the team that we were visiting. We had to win 2 games to advance to the championship round. And I remember the pilots. I remember where I was up really, really high, and John was about 6 or 7 rows down below me. And John's keeping the book for you because he did a great job at doing that. But John gets pretty emotional in these games. And I remember one time he was giving it to the official like there's no tomorrow. And I remember the official coming by and pointing up to John because John's yapping at the official about this, that, and the other thing. And the official looks at him and points his finger at him and says, if I hear another word out of you, you're out of here. He's a passionate dude about his stuff, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to be passionate to be good at what you're doing. You can't be talking to officials too much, though, because that got me in trouble when I was coaching, too. But, yeah, I mean, that was a crazy trip. I do remember that trip very, very well, and had to win 2 games up there at Northwestern up in Minnesota.
That's right.
And that people don't understand the NCCA National Tournament. I know I'm kind of going down a different path a little bit, but that's a great tournament. And like our volleyball team embarking on their quests for that's going to be extremely tough for them to win, and it's going to be very competitive. So those opportunities to be enthusiastic and excited about what we're doing, I mean, those are appreciated. That's what we want. We want passionate people.
Yeah, John, you remember those moments?
I do remember them. It's my younger days. I was a little more immature, but anyway, I wasn't doing the book officially because I wasn't on the table. I was just in the stands keeping it for myself, basically, and so I felt like I could be a little more supportive, boisterous, but yes, a little bit over the line. I understand. Thinking back on that,
I've been in that same situation where I've had the officials walking by, and we be talking about something, and I'll say something, and they can hear me, and the guy will turn around and look at me and say, "I can't believe you just said that. And I know you're broadcasting. Now you're telling the whole world about the call I just blew," or whatever the case may be. So I understand that dynamic. So I want you to take me back to your coming to Bethel to be a part of the staff. What was it like for you in the beginning, kind of getting yourself acclimated, and compare it to where you're at right now in this day and age? We certainly have a whole generation of athletes and kids that have come and gone since that point in time. Take me back to the beginning. What was it like in the beginning compared to now?
Well, in the beginning, I started in 2001. I was a part-time coach. I was coaching tennis for the first time, and Jamal Henry was on that team, and we talk about that all the time. And I was really new at it, so I was learning on the run, and kind of intimidated the first year or two. But each year, more and more comfortable with the situation and responsibility. And trying to find a balance between being, yes, I'm the head coach or whatever for tennis, and I got to be a coach and not a friend right now. But later on, we're friends later on, and so each year I got more and more comfortable with the process, and I get to the point where I told my second wave of kids that I'm old enough to be their dad. Now I'm telling the kids I'm old enough to be your grandpa, and so it's just been a great journey from 2001 to now.
I want you to take me back to I was there at your Hall of Fame induction speech, and I remember this. It was a really emotional time for you, as it was for me when Tanya and I went into the Bethel Hall of Fame, because you're so appreciative of the people that you love here and all that. So what was that moment for you as you reflect back now after it's been done a year or so now?
Yeah, it was a surprise because I wasn't an athlete, and
neither was I.
Just being the thought that I was appreciated to the point where I could join the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, there are people in that Hall of Fame that are incredible individuals, whether athletically or whatever, and to be included in that group was very special and very emotional. And to be standing up there giving a speech, talking 100 miles an hour, because you get kind of nervous when you're in front of people like that. But it was very humbling.
Tony, I know that the committee goes out of its way to making sure that there are so many people involved that it's just not. Now, I know there's a criteria for the Hall of Fame for athletes. Mm-hmm. You have to be, right. Was it NEI or NCCA All-American type situation?
Yeah, anymore, I tell you, it's gotten to the point where the NEI All-American has become the standard.
Okay.
And that's been a huge change through the years. I mean, we started out with the NCCA All-American, but we have so many now that have been multiple-time NEI All-Americans that's been one of our criteria moving forward.
But for the people like me and for John and for Tanya, I mean, for those people to be recognized for their hard work and dedication to the institution and athletics, can you speak to how those kind of names get brought up and how does that work?
Yeah, well, we have a great committee that meets, and we meet 3 or 4 times a year. Luke's on that committee, and we just talk about different opportunities, different people. I feel like my role in that is to lead it, so I kind of come in with some thoughts and just some lists of people. I don't really run the conversation, but I come in with an initial thought and then let them run with it. So whenever we bring in folks that are not necessarily the athletic people that have played here, we just talk about the criteria, what they've been able to do in the long run, and I kind of open it up to the committee. And when the committee has consensus, like they have with all of you that you mentioned, it shows me that there's no question that you all should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's the direction we've gone.
What was it like for you watching your brother up there, kind of go through his speech? I know it's emotional. Yeah. I know that he's been a mentor to you. Give us an idea what it was like for you.
No, just really good. It's good to have my family there to see that because they're real close with him as well, and just how proud everybody was of that and the opportunity to see him get what he's deserved with all the hard work that he's put in.
John, let me throw this right back at you now. What's it like for you to see your baby brother grow up? We're not going to talk about the Purdue time or the Bowling Green time, but we're going to talk about the time. And there was, I guess we could put a picture of Tony with hair and me too. I mean, but that would scare the listening on it, so we would lose all our viewers permanently. Having said that, what's it like for you to see the young guy that you used to play ball in the backyard, wiffle ball in the backyard, rise to the position where he's having a major impact in the lives of so many athletes and so many coaches? What's it like for you?
It's very pleasing and very proud of Tony and what he's done. He's always been the type of individual you can't tell him that he can't do something. If you tell him he can't do it, that sparks the I'll show you, kind of I'll get it done. And to see what he does in the department here is just amazing because he's always going in 20 different directions and keeping the place going and keeping it together and just thinking about all the responsibilities and all the different jobs he has, from fundraising to leading the department. It's pretty incredible.
All right, Tony, I know this is going to be our last show of the calendar year. We're going to stop and take a moment to be thankful. A Christmas message, if you will. John, once again, before we turn back over to Tony for his some closing thoughts, I want you to share your favorite Tony Natali moment whether it be as whether watching him coach or watching him mentor. I know that's always an interesting time. Whether it be just kind of hanging out. What's your favorite Tony Natali moment here at Bethel?
Well, there's a lot of them, but probably the time while he was a coach on the basketball team. Track, I go to the track meets, and that was fun to watch his athletes compete and support them. But probably my favorite times were watching him coach during the game, just getting his players going on the defensive side of things. That was his specialty. And just seeing how much it meant to him to lead those kids in the proper way, chastising when needing, supporting when needing, and just the job that he and Mike did together was pretty cool.
It is. Tony, before we talk about our closing thoughts and our thankfulness, I know you have to be very, very happy. Your daughter Hannah and son-in-law Alec just had another baby. Are you trying to keep up with the Condries?
We're trying, man. So that's four grandkids.
Got to get to work, man. We're at 9. You got to get to work.
They're the ones that got to get to work. but yeah, that's four grandkids. One that's a first granddaughter. So it was awesome to see her yesterday for the first time. Looking forward to them getting home. So that'd be good.
All right, so I want you to give me an open-ended question. As we prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving here in the United States of America, what are the things that you are the most thankful for? I want to ask you personally, and as the head coach of the athletic department here at Bethel.
Yeah, we meet with our staff, and I've done this for years, even when I coach track and basketball. But I think Thanksgiving gets blown away. I don't think people talk about Thanksgiving nearly enough, and so I've always challenged our staff and the kids I coached to send out letters and send out emails to people who they were thankful for. But I mean, first of all, Jesus Christ, as our Savior, it has to start there, because that's the middle of everything that we do. And I know you hear that all the time on post-game comments and everything, but it is where everything starts. So that's the grace that we get from Jesus. That's got to be where it starts. And then personally, Andrea, man, she's been able to put up with me for 40 plus years, which is pretty incredible. Our Cassie and Hannah, my daughters, have done a great job with their families now, and to see them where they've come with their walk with the Lord, and them professionally and personally, it's been cool. And Mitchell and Alec, our son-in-laws, are phenomenal, and then all the grandkids, like we just mentioned. So I'm just really thankful for the family dynamic. I'm very thankful, selfishly speaking, that they're close by, that I get a chance to see them quite a bit. So that's pretty cool. And then professionally here at Bethel, just, man, John mentioned it, just all the people you work with every day. There's literally no issues, and the issues we have to deal with are the issues that come up with snow, or the issues that come up with other things that during games, whatever might happen. But the people that you work with every day are, as you know, are a huge part of your enjoyment coming to work every morning. And the fact that we can come here and just as a family work together, and sometimes we got to get on each other, but it's a matter of just really making this place as good as we can for our kids and giving them the best experience they can. And hopefully by that, they're seeing Jesus through what we're doing.
I'm going to point out a couple athletes before we wrap it up. Abby Williams, who's going to be having, as the recording of this show, is going to be having her surgery today. Her career is over, but she's been a shining light on this campus in women's basketball. I'm going to wish her the best, and we're praying for her recovery in that. But that's the kind of situation you love to see, that here's a young lady who's still trying to make an impact on her team, even though her physical playing career is over. And then last night here inside the Gates Gymnasium, we saw a kid by the name, local product from Northwood High School, Trent Edwards, a triple-double. You've been around a lot of Bethel men's basketball games.
Yeah.
Here's a kid that when he came up, I just Steve Draymond, the head coach, recruited him thinking, how is this guy going to be able to ever make an impact? But here's a kid who had a great attitude, who bought into the culture that Coach Draven has been trying to preach, and he's been cultivating over the years. And to see him have the success he did last night was really an inspiring moment, because that's what education-based Christian athletics is all about, to see him grow spiritually, see him grow physically. And those are just two athletes that I've had a chance to interact with this fall that I'm very, very thankful for, that I get a chance to watch them and be a part of their lives, albeit from my cheap seat at center court. So that's something I know you have to feel very happy. And then there's a lot of stories like that here on this game. Those are just two.
There's a ton of stories like that. But the two you mentioned, Abby, when she got hurt, I met with her about a week later, just give her some time. And her thing to me when she first met with me, and this tells you what kind of person she is she just wanted to use this injury, even though it was a career-ending injury, how she was going to impact the young kids on that team and how they could see Jesus through her and how it was impacted through that. And then with Trent, the coolest thing about last night with Trent that I saw was, yes, what he was able to accomplish was amazing, but from where I was standing in the corner, it was really cool watching the bench and how they responded. Every single one of those kids, coaches, the managers, everybody was just totally into it with him, and it was just really cool to see the family that Steve's built with that program as well.
It's a great program right now, off to an unbelievable 7-0 start as we record this. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this year?
Just really excited about what we have going on here at Bethel. The culture here is just phenomenal. We feel like the department's doing great, and we're excited about the kids we have, and we're looking forward to the kids that we're recruiting going to have in the years to come.
John, thanks for taking time.
You bet.
Appreciate you, as always. Look forward to being here for many, many more years. Once again, it's been our distinct pleasure to be a part of Bethel University Athletics here for the last quarter century. Thanks again to Luke Schrock and Tanner Camper helping production here today. For John Natali, for Coach Tony Natali, we appreciate you stopping by and joining us here on the Tony Natali Show. For all of us at Regional Radio Sports, I'm Paul Condry. God bless you all.